Hello, how is everyone? Welcome back to the BioNexus Health Podcast series. This is going to be something unique today. I've been getting a lot of questions. There is a leave a question for the podcast on the homepage of the BioNexus website. So I've been getting a lot of questions the last few months, ever since the podcast started. And I thought I decided, let me just answer one question at a time, as and when I can. Like right now, as you can see, obviously I'm between patients. So I had some time. So I thought I would record this little segment. So today's question that I would like to pick up is about mold exposure, biotoxin illness, and how to handle a washing machine. Many of my patients have heard me say that, top loaders are preferred since front loaders end up getting much moldier around the front loading door seal. And this actually, a few people have asked me this question regarding maintenance, cleanup, any additional precautions with relation to washing machines. So based on my personal experience, I'm not an environmental professional. They're called as IEPs, indoor environmental professionals. Each one has their own specific way of handling indoor contaminants. Now, what I'm going to talk about is going to be based on my personal experience, how I handle it for myself and my family, as well as, obviously the advice I give to my patients in BioNexus Health. So here we go. Today we will speak about precautions and any other tips for washing machines for patients with mold biotoxin illness.
Welcome to the BioNexus Health Podcast with Dr. Jodie A. Dashore, who holds a PhD in integrative medicine, is board certified in integrative pediatrics, an internationally recognized pioneering clinician, and author. And now here's your host of BioNexus Health Podcast, Dr. Jodie A. Dashore.
Today we will be talking about, or rather I will be speaking briefly about mold biotoxin illness and washing machine precautions. That is something that every mom and wife and patient has to deal with in their daily lives. And what I'll be actually doing is that there's going to be a series of step-by-step instructions for various things related to safety and precautions when it comes to mold biotoxin illness that need to be done around the house. And a washing machine seems to be on everyone's mind, and it can get a little bit confusing. So I thought that, I would go ahead and do a separate podcast, a brief one just on that. So I'm going to share my screen, and we are going to talk about front-loading washing machines that are problematic. Before I share my screen, just one thing to keep in mind is brand new ones are great, but even those, if there is an option, I would strongly recommend that instead of front loading washing machines, you should go for top loading washing machines. Front loading dryers are fine. That's another question that I get asked. Those are fine, but front loading washing machines are quite problematic. When I share the images that I found online of the front-loading mold problems, you'll understand what I mean. Important thing here is many families, when they buy a new house, new meaning not as a new construction, but it could be new construction, then you actually get a brand new washing machine. Even then, like I said, it's best to get a top loader if you can speak to the builder and request a top loader. Many builders will allow you to exchange that if it's a new construction, right? However, maintenance of a front loader, if you're stuck with a brand new front loader, and you don't have it in your budget, what to do, not what to do. I mean, if you don't have it in your budget to replace it just yet, then I'll give you some maintenance tips as well, right? So let's talk about the front loaders, because the new houses, as I was saying, the new houses, when you buy a new house, usually, meaning, a house where someone lived previously, right? So depending on how old the front loader washing machine is, it could be very moldy, extremely moldy, mildly moldy, depends. It is best to throw it out and get a new top loading washer. But many people forget, and they have continued with a front loading washer. Many throw away items from a previous, a water damaged building apartment, or the apartment had mold, was in an old building, or was a much older house, and now they've moved into a less older house. So they take a lot of precautions with the moving, they throw old things away, etc. But when they come into a new house, sometimes the new place that they purchased, they sometimes forget about the washing machine. So especially if the laundry room is in the basement, not many homeowners declare if that there have been any kind of basement issues in the past to the new buyers. And unless there has been black mold, I don't think the real estate, the realtors are required to reveal that. Of course, if you run your own private mold testing and you see something there, then by all means, you can always request the seller to remediate, and then remediate to your satisfaction before you go ahead with the purchase of the house. If something shows up on inspection, so that's when, of course, you're allowed to. But that's a topic for a whole other podcast. This one, washing machine, let's stick to that. I've given you a little bit of background information, options, what have you. So I'm going to share my screen and show you some images of moldy front loading washing machines here. Let me get to that, and then I'll share my screen. So you should be seeing this now. As you can see, there are various images. Now, my Google search was front loader washing machine mold pics. Okay, pictures. Let's start with this one. Okay, so as you can see, this is the seal around the front loading washing machine. Okay, let's see. Let's go to this one. Okay, so you see this. So this, if you can see the little white hand, which is my cursor online. So this is the door opening of the front loading washing machine. And here you can see that there is mold that has grown and accumulated. It's very common. It's also important to look here, like right in front of the door opening. There's a groove here as well. How do I know it? Because we moved my son into a brand new apartment. However, the apartment washing machine is a front loader. It's completely brand new, so we just have to maintain it. And I'll be speaking to you about the maintenance process. That's how I know this. All right. So there is mold accumulation here. This has to be checked. And this groove here, all around, remember, it's a drum. So all around the drum, it needs to be checked, right? All right, now let's see, any other picture? This one I shared already. Now look at this one. Okay, so there is, it's pretty obvious that there is mold. All right, So I will stop sharing. This is another one that they found. My goodness, that's like, it's caked on there if you're not aware of what you're doing. Okay, so let me stop sharing. And now we can talk about what to do with front-loading washing machines, right? So that is, around the seal is where you will check for the mold. And if you see any mold around the seal, then it usually means that there is also mold behind the drum, right? Because in the seal, I showed you one of the pictures, there is the drainage. And through the drainage, obviously, there's mold on the seal that goes straight behind the drum of the washing machine. And all of that mold spores can get attached to your clothes, right? Now, clothes fibers, lint, etc., is the medium that the mold grows on. That is why a front-loading washer, where the fabric, threads, etc., the lint collects near the thick seal because it has so many folds in it, right? That's why there is mold growth. Additionally, obviously, it's the water that comes in direct contact with the seal. So most people leave the door of the washing machine closed. After the wash is done, they take the clothes out, put them in the dryer, leave the door closed. So there are many mistakes people make unknowingly, which fosters the mold growth, right? So what to do about a moldy front loader? Obviously, throw it out. Nothing can be done. It needs to be thrown out and replaced with a top-loading washing machine, okay? Now, when you get a top-loading washing machine, then these are the precautions that have to be taken, right? Get a pint-sized dehumidifier, meaning the one that sucks the water out of the environment for the laundry room itself, right? A pint size, meaning, they are small humidifiers, and they pull out a pint of water at a time. So it's kind of small. It's about like, 12 inches high and about 4 inches wide. So it can certainly be put in a little nook in your laundry room, right? Or your mudroom, wherever your laundry room is. So leave that running all the time. Just plug it in and leave it running. After your top loading washing machine, after you run your load, take the clothes out, of course, as you do, put it in the dryer. And what you're going to do is leave the lid open. So it kind of dries out and allows the dehumidifier to dry it out even more. Another important point is pull out the laundry detergent dispenser cup. Pull it out. If you are able to completely slide it out, that's fine. Slide it out, empty out the water and leave it on the side. That's what I do. I'm able to pull it all the way out. One day I'll actually show you how the arrangement in my laundry room. But for today, we'll just talk about it. Right. So pull it out, empty out the water. So this way everything is dry, because the soap dispenser, meaning, the laundry detergent dispenser cup, which slides out in the washing machine, that usually has a fabric softener dispenser to the left of it. And when people use both, even if you use only the laundry detergent section of the dispenser, that can start getting sticky and moldy over time. Behind the dispenser can get sticky and moldy. So at the very least, what you need to do is to pull it out and leave it pulled out so that your dehumidifier in the laundry room has a chance to dry it out. So when it dries out, behind usually also gets dry. So then you're in the clear there. So either or, because I've noticed, some clients, some patients have told me that their washing machine has a big bulky one, slide out for the laundry detergent area. And it gets messy and watery if they try to pull it out. So I'm like, all right, not a problem. Leave it in there, but at least leave it open, leave it pulled out. So the moisture dries up in there. So that's the precaution. Wash done, lid open, dehumidifier always running, pull out the laundry detergent dispenser. Okay. Now, once a week, your top loading washing machine, use 1 cup of borax laundry detergent. 1 cup. This is once a week cleaning out of your washing machine. All right. So 1 cup of borax, put it directly in the drum. You don't have to put it in the detergent cup. Put it directly in the drum. Right? Close the lid and run it on your strongest cycle. Some washing machines have a self-clean cycle. I know mine does, and some don't, but some do have the heavy duty. I mean, most have the heavy duty cycle. So run it on the heavy duty cycle, the hot water, the heavy duty cycle. The borax will go in and it cleans out your washing machine and also the plumbing. It's amazing. Additionally, if you smell something in your washer, I would recommend 1 cup of borax powder and 1 cup of just regular kitchen vinegar. All right, regular kitchen white vinegar can be mixed in together. That gives you a super clean. Now, I would recommend once a week. It's very important, especially if you have, a larger family, or, if you're using your washing machine a lot. So it's important to keep it clean. The borax powder is the one that I like to use, is known as the borax powder laundry booster. So there are many brands available. You can shop online and you will see there are many brands available. Look at the reviews and get the one that you prefer. The same thing for pint-size dehumidifiers. There are many brands available. So just purchase the one that you like based on reviews and what have you. Right now, there are also eco-friendly enzymatic washing machine cleaning tablets. So for those of you who would like to use those, that's another option as well. But once a week washing machine cleaning is important. And I find that this combination of borax powder and vinegar is excellent. It works really well. In a pinch, if you run out of borax powder, at least do the vinegar. The combination works really well. Okay, now moving on to the actual clothes and the actual wash. I recommend that with each load of wash, put in at least a couple tablespoons of borax powder, right? I always recommend an organic, clean and clear, fragrance-free, sensitive skin laundry detergent to be used in your washing machine. And along with the laundry detergent, if you use 1 to 2 scoops of this borax powder laundry booster, that is very helpful to just kind of maintain your clothes. It'll clean the clothes of mold exposure, mold spores. Many of us are exposed. You may go to a restaurant, you may go to a grocery store. So there are often times where there is inadvertent mold exposure, okay? So that's how you will maintain your washing machine top loading. Now, let's talk about the front loading washing machine. If you have a brand new front loader and there is no choice, you're in a rental apartment or another rental situation, and the only thing possible is to maintain that, then here's what we do. I mentioned that my son has the new front-loading washing machine at his apartment at college. So what we do is pretty much the same, but for a front loader, there are a couple extra points. So all the points that I mentioned for the top loading washing machine, remember, those will all apply to the front loader. Now, the one thing that is a little bit more involved with a front loader is after each wash, you not only have to leave the door open, but you have to wipe down. You could use paper towels, you could use regular towels, but you have to wipe down the door itself. You'll see that there is a lot of moisture at the door, right? Around the door. So wipe down the door, as well as wipe down that rubber seal that I showed you earlier at the beginning of the podcast, that I showed you, the one where the mold that accumulates there. So it would be best to wipe around the entire rubber seal, as well as the additional groove right at the beginning of the mouth of the drum in the washing machine, right? So go into every nook and cranny and dry it out with a paper towel. Remember to leave the door open still. Pull out the detergent dispenser and make sure that your little dehumidifier is running, okay? Now remember to get a dehumidifier with a turn off sensor. Like when it gets full, even smaller dehumidifiers have turn off sensors. So it's good because you don't really want, even though it's just a pint, you don't want any overflow of water in the laundry area. So there you are. That's how we maintain and take care of washing machine. Hello. I wanted to show you regarding the washing machine, the kind of setup we have here in the apartment for my son. So it's easier to look and learn, right? So let's do this. So now this is a front loader washing machine, right? Stackable because it's an apartment. So right off the bat, you will see a few things. We usually keep a paper towel. We have the borax powder, which we use with each load of laundry. And we use a clean and clear sensitive laundry liquid. So just to keep everything clean and organic. And then you'll see that we have a dehumidifier sitting right near the washing machine. This is a medium size. It's not necessarily a small pint size. There are also smaller pint size ones available. So this is always running. As you can see, it's always running. And as you can see, it has also collected water. So we keep this running near the washing machine. One other thing I wanted to show you, if you can bring it closer, is that the washing machine is sitting in a plastic tub. It's a little trough, and it also has a water here. This is a water overload signal. So if there's any water falling out, if there's any overflow, then this is an alarm that goes off, right? So we have all the precautions we need here in the laundry area. So we'll move this over. The wash has been done recently, so I still need to wipe everything down. So what we do is, it gets pretty wet and watery. So I take two nice thick paper towels. This happens to be Bounty, but you can just use any good ones. and wipe around here. Okay, there's usually a lot of condensation. While prepping for the video, I think this kind of dried up a little bit because the dehumidifier is always running, and we always leave the door open after the wash. So wipe it down. All right, and then the rubber seal here. There's a lot of water that accumulates here. So goodness, it's really wet. So you go all around. There's water, there's hair, there's clothes fibers. So it takes like 5 minutes to get all this done, less than 5 minutes. You do have to make sure that it's thoroughly dry. Go all around. All right, so get the top. All right, good. Now, I think I might need one more. Okay. Now, there is a groove here. So this is the drum of the washing machine. Here is the rim, and right outside the rim there is a little groove. Brian, can you zoom in? Yeah. So as you can see, this gets wet, and there is fabric. There's little pieces of body hair, which is normal for a washing machine, but it's important that it gets wiped down because threads from the fabric as well as body hair can become growing mediums, like food for the mold. So once again, all around. So let's take it all the way up and all the way around. There is some sort of a lip over here where it can get stuck, but you just need to be sure that you go all around thoroughly. It's pretty wet, as you can see. All right, good. So that's that. This looks like it's done. And then just make sure that this is running. Now, last but not the least, I'm going to leave this open, right? We usually leave it open. And this needs to come out. This is the soap dispenser on a front-loading washer. On a top-loading washer, I'll show you that another time. It's inside the drum itself, right? So it can be a little bit messy to pull it out. I've tried it. It just drips water all over the place. So I just leave it here. I put the paper towel in here. I dry whatever I can dry right inside the soap dispenser. And then I just leave it open to dry, because what happens is behind, if it's not dried out, then it can get moldy in the back. So everything is dried out. I'm just going to leave it open. Yep. And as you can see, there is a room here in the back. So, we don't necessarily leave it wide open like this the whole time, but at least we can leave it partly open so the dehumidifier has a chance to do its job. So, I hope this has been helpful. I just wanted to show, because seeing is learning for many people. So there you go. All right. So that was the answer to one of the questions. Thank you for joining me. I will be, as and when, as I mentioned, as and when I get some time, I will log in, jump on Zoom, and record an answer to to the other popular questions I've been getting. So I'm glad you were here. I hope you found the information useful. And I look forward to seeing you at the next Q&A podcast. Namaste.
Thank you for joining Master Herbalist Dr. Jodie A. Dashore, Director of the BioNexus Health Clinic and BioNexus Herbals, on the BioNexus Health Podcast, where we explore and share information and stories about recovering and healing from chronic and environmental illnesses such as mold biotoxin illness, Lyme disease, autism spectrum disorder, fatigue, Crohn's and colitis, mast cell activation syndrome, PANS, and more. Please help us grow our message by subscribing to our podcast channel and sharing the podcast on your social networks. For more information, visit bionexushealth.com.
Information within this video, audio, or text, collectively known as the podcast, has not been reviewed by the FDA. Nothing within the podcast is intended as or should be construed as medical advice. Information is for general informational and educational purposes only. Consumers of the podcast should consult with their healthcare practitioners for medical recommendations. Seek the advice of a qualified healthcare provider. Do not disregard the advice of a healthcare provider based on any information from the podcast. The information within the podcast may contain information concerning dietary supplements or over-the-counter products that are not drugs. Our dietary supplement products are not intended for use as a means to cure, treat, prevent, diagnose, or mitigate any disease or other medical or abnormal condition.